Behind the facade of love, many people secretly crave and sometimes even thrive on the stress and anxiety that comes with being in a relationship. This isn't just about being clingy or insecure, but about a deeper pattern of attachment that's triggered by a primal need to hold onto the person they love, no matter how toxic the relationship becomes. We've all seen it in ourselves or someone we know, where the thrill of a potential breakup drives the excitement of a new romance, like a roller coaster that never quite ends. In this video, I'll be exploring the unseen pattern of love, where insecurity and fear manipulate romantic relationships, and I'll shed light on the hidden forces that bind people together in secret suffering. When we're in a relationship, the one thing we desperately crave, the thing we pretend to have control over, is validation, not love, not intimacy, but validation that our existence is enough. What fuels our desire to love is often not a genuine connection to the other person, but a deep-seated need to experience our own worth through someone else's eyes, to feel seen and approved. Behind every grand gesture, every passionate declaration, lies a subtle dance of possession, a desire to claim, possess, and ultimately control the one we love. Because the only way we truly know we exist is by knowing we're necessary to someone else. Our attraction to another person is usually rooted in our own unfinished business. We project our deepest desires, our fears, and our insecurities onto the other. Because it's the only way we can make sense of the fragments of ourselves that we've lost along the way. Insecurity masquerades as vulnerability, as if the one who's most broken is the one who's worthy of love. But the truth is, our greatest fears often have nothing to do with our partners, but our own reflections staring back at us in the mirror, the fear of abandonment, of rejection, of not being enough. We convince ourselves that love is about sacrificing our own needs for the sake of others. But the hidden pattern of insecurity reveals that we're actually trading our very soul for the fleeting high of validation, a validation that's as ephemeral as it is intoxicating. When we seek validation through romantic relationships, we often overlook the underlying power struggles that drive our attraction, and the fear of being unworthy or alone becomes a self-fulfilling prophecy that draws us back to the same destructive patterns. As we try to control and hold on to a relationship, we inadvertently give our partner the power to decide whether we are loved or rejected, thereby reinforcing their influence over our self-worth and reinforcing the cycle of neediness that we're desperate to escape. People often mistake the thrill of excitement and the rush of adrenaline in the early stages of a relationship for genuine emotional connection, when in reality, it's the uncertainty and chaos that fuels the attraction, and the fear of loss that keeps us invested in the dynamic. Insecurities and fear often masquerade as intimacy and love, and it's only when we're forced to confront our own flaws and weaknesses that we begin to see the difference between genuine emotional connection and the desperate need for validation that's been motivating us all along. We're drawn to people who can give us what we can't give ourselves, which is a false sense of security and validation, and this creates a cycle of codependency and manipulation where we compromise our own needs and values in the pursuit of what we believe is love. Ultimately, our attraction to someone is often a projection of our own unmet needs and desires, and recognizing this pattern is the first step towards breaking free from the destructive cycles of fear and insecurity that have bound us to the same toxic patterns of love again and again. In our pursuit of love and connection, we often unconsciously create a mask to hide our true selves, and in doing so, we inadvertently cultivate an environment where manipulation thrives. This self-deceptive behavior is rooted in our deep-seated fear of rejection and the subsequent loss of validation, a need that fuels our insecurities and ultimately controls our actions. As we navigate the complexities of romantic relationships, it's essential to recognize that our attraction to someone is not solely driven by love, but also by our desire for control and the sense of validation that comes with it. We frequently overlook the fact that our need for love and acceptance is, in essence, a cry for self-worth, and this vulnerability is exploited by our partners through various forms of emotional manipulation. By perpetuating a facade of dependence, we inadvertently surrender control, creating a dynamic where our partner becomes the arbiter of our self-worth, further entrenching us in a cycle of fear, anxiety, and emotional suffering. Beneath the veil of romantic love, we're often drawn to individuals who possess the qualities we lack, a phenomenon known as projection, where our unacknowledged flaws are transferred onto others, allowing us to maintain a false sense of self. The fear of abandonment, of being rejected, drives so many of our actions in love, doesn't it? It's in the dark corners of our psyches, where the shadows of childhood trauma and insecurity reside, that the binding effect of fear finds a perfect breeding ground. The pursuit of validation becomes a never-ending cycle, because we're often seeking it from the very people who have the power to destroy us. We crave control in a relationship because that's how we maintain a sense of safety, of protection from the pain of rejection and abandonment. But the truth is, love isn't always about grand gestures or declarations of passion. It's often about the subtle threads of attachment and the desperate need for ego boosting that these relationships provide. Our desire to be loved is so strong that we'll often sacrifice our own sense of self, our values and boundaries, just to hold on to the illusion of security that a relationship offers. When we're drawn to someone, it's often the unresolved pieces within ourselves that we're trying to fill, but end up creating a fragile foundation for relationships built on unmet needs. We're conditioned to believe that love is about finding the perfect match, but it's actually a desperate attempt to validate our own self-worth by being chosen by someone else. Underneath the facade of romance, there's a sinister dynamic at play: the pursuit of control and security through emotional manipulation, as we trade fragments of ourselves for a fleeting sense of belonging. The attraction we feel for someone is often a reaction to our deeply ingrained fears: the fear of being alone, the fear of not being enough, or the fear of being hurt, a constant push and pull between vulnerability and self-protection. Our ego's clever trick is to disguise our insecurities as love, and to attribute the other person's behavior as a reflection of our own value, rather than recognizing the true source of our suffering lies within ourselves. By hiding behind the masks of love, we're perpetuating a vicious cycle of self-deception, where we're convinced that the problems in our relationship are the other person's fault, when in reality, it's our unresolved wounds and unmet needs that are driving the chaos. As we close this episode on the unseen pattern of love, I hope you've gained a deeper understanding of how insecurity and fear can secretly bind us together in relationships. Remember that awareness is key, and shining a light on these hidden dynamics can be the first step towards authentic healing and growth. If you found this content thought-provoking, don't forget to like, comment with your observations, and hit that subscribe button for more in-depth explorations of the human psyche.